Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today, what we're bringing to you is two Marvel Snap developers' decks that they recently shared. The first is Tian Ding. He got number one rank post Infinite with the deck we're going to talk about today. And Glenn Jones, the lead developer, hit Infinite with the deck we are going to discuss. Before we get there, though, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Every single weekday, we bring you at least two, very often more than two, brand new decks before they hit the meta, before everyone's playing them, that are proven to be successful. These decks can get you Infinite, they can get you Infinity Borders, and they can help you achieve your goals in Marvel Snap. In addition, we are giving away 10 more Loki season passes, so if you're still looking for that Loki, all you have to do is hit subscribe and comment on today's video. Comment on any video from like last Wednesday, up straight through this Thursday's video. As long as you're subbed and you comment, you are entered to win a Loki season pass. So support the channel, help us out. It's totally free. We really appreciate it. And we always do the biggest giveaway in all of Marvel Snap for season passes. Make sure you check it out. We have two winners of the early Loki season pass we haven't heard from. They are Mimichu and TechCur7. If you reach out to us, you have until Friday to claim your season pass. Tech credits. Tian Ding is at the second dinner data analyst, also a friend of Dara, apparently IRL. Twitter.com/sky_tding if you would like to check out his stuff. And Glenn Jones is Glenn_Jones. Glenn is Jones and then another underscore. He's the lead designer of Second Dinner if you'd like to follow either of them on Twitter. Tian Ding's deck is the Shuri Sauron we've been telling you about for days and days now. It is as close as you get to a straight up Loki killer, in that it has absolutely bonkers stats. It's got some of the best stats in Marvel Snap, stats that compete with the best Loki decks, which everyone is busy yelling are so OP. Excuse me. What Loki has ultimately done is chased away a lot of the Shang-Chi, because when you're Lokiing, you don't really want to give your opponent Shang that can beat you for a lot of cubes. So less Shang-Chi means more Red Skull and Taskmaster. You also have armor to help protect you, and vision, both of whom can help you dodge that Shang-Chi. You also just generally put a lot of power on the board. A 0 in Ebony Maw turn 2 is a 10 power turn 2, which is just completely bonkers. You can also 0 on 1 Lizard on 2 for 8 power across the first 2 turns. Again, this is massive, massive power. Sauron turns off all your negative stuff in the deck, while when you don't see Sauron or 0, Enchantress can do a similar thing while also acting as a backup plan. A lot of what we are seeing as an answer to Loki being everywhere are decks like Mr. Negative, which run cards like Null or Iron Man and Mystique, Patriot, which runs Patriot, and a lot of like Living Tribunal stuff that's trying to hide their cards behind name of the card escaping me, Invisible Woman, and then you turn off that Invisible Woman, they accidentally Modoc their hand away a turn before they could play Hela, including checking their Hela. It's a great way to steal cube. Or they just like cold start playing their like Iron Man stuff, and you just enchant that off and then drop your big stuff while also turning off your negative effect for Typhoid Mary, Lizard, or Red Skull. There's a lot of play to this deck, despite what it looks like. It's not like the most complicated deck in all of Marvel Snap, but there are a lot of things you can do to be successful with this deck. Hey, the best deck in the game might be this, and might be and is Series 3 only. You can argue to put Nebula in this if you really, really want to, but you don't need to replace any cards because these are all Series 3 cards. If you are looking to replace something, like She-Hulk is often a really good shout here, because then you can Shuri pass 5 and then She-Hulk and Taskmaster on 6, which is 18 power in 2 lanes and usually loses your priority. Very good against Shang-Chi. I'd consider cutting Lizard for that, but ultimately probably decide against it. I don't know if I'd make any other changes, but if you're lacking a card, She-Hulk is a really good shout to replace one of them. You could also do worse than adding your own Shang-Chi or adding a Captain Marvel if those are cards you have and you're missing something else. You are going to need specifically Shuri and Taskmaster for this deck. You probably really want Red Skull and Sauron too. You obviously already have several of the other cards because if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're Series 2 complete. If you're not Series 2 complete and you need decks, hop on over to the Marvel Snap Zone Discord and just ask. We'll give you the best Series 2 decks. Like Series 1 and 2 are just solved. The reason we don't really cover decks from them is we know what's good there. Like, everyone had to go through it, right? So like those are like closed metas. Nothing new comes into them. They're completely solved, so we know what to do. Turn by turn. Big cards and big tempo win games, since Shang-Chi may currently be at his worst since the game's inception. Turn 1, you skip if you have armor. I'd rather have armor with this deck than the power of the other cards. If you don't have armor, you zero. If you zeroed, you want to play Lizard. If not, you just play armor turn 2. You'd like to play Lizard. You're also perfectly fine playing Ebony Maw here, although if you're going to Sauron, Maw is often a really great last turn play. Turn 3, if you have this card snap before, play Sauron. Turning off, here, let's look. You're way ahead of rate at every spot in the curve, right? Your general 1-drop is a 1-2. You have a 1-3 and a 1-7. Your general 2-drop is a 2-4. Armor is, a 2-3. Armor is fine, not great there, right? But Lizard is way above curve. Shuri is below curve, but it doubles your 5 from like a 5-8 to a 5-28, which is your new normal 5 rate. Your normal 4 rate is a 4-5 or 4-6. You've got a 4-5 that turns off a bunch of negative effects and a 4-10. Your usual 6 is about a 6-9. Hi, America. That's the rate, 6-10. And you're copying a 28 power card or copying a 16 power. Right? So, like, you just have way above rate cards at every spot. So you are snapping when you play Sauron because you are then way ahead because your negative effects don't exist. If you, whether you saw Sauron or not, if you see Shuri, snap before you drop Shuri. Maybe they can stop your Shuri, maybe not. After Shuri, you'd usually like to Red Skull. If you know they've got Chung, Vision's not a bad shout. And if you Sauron, Typhoid is a reason to back up here too. Any of these are fine. After Shuri, obviously Red Skull being 28 power is the very best. After Red Skull, you'd almost always like to Taskmaster, but once in a while you know you're open for Shang, you know your opponent hasn't, you know they're going to do it, and you're ahead in another lane. Please feel free to play something like, I don't know, if you played Sauron, Typhoid and your Ebony Maw at that point, or a Typhoid and a Lizard at that point, because that's still 15 power, a phenomenal last turn that you can spread out and make sure you win those other lanes and survive that Shang-Chi. Taskmaster will not copy a killed Red Skull, fair warning. Otherwise, you just play Taskmaster and Maul, and now you've got 28 power in one lane. You grabbed a 35 power last turn and enjoy your win. Almost nothing in the game, like not nothing, right? There are high rolls that go over this, but almost nothing is this consistent and simple that puts out that much power. It's probably, if not the best deck, one of the best decks. Check it out, try it. Tian Ding played it, and it became the #1 ranked deck because now we have rankings post-infinite, and this became #1 from Tian. Next up, we have Glenn Jones, the lead designer. Glenn is, in the 90s, played against someone playing this deck, and then immediately made a couple changes, like, I like this, and stole it. But we're going to call it the Glenn Jones deck because that mysterious player who invented this deck, we don't know who it is. If anyone does, however, know who it is, let us know. This deck is really cool in that it has 2, potentially 3 zeros that it can get with Jane, and it can play those 3 cards with Hitmonkey on the last turn. Those cards will also pump up your Bishop in the process. Seems pretty good, right? Kitty is a grower here. She helps grow your Angela and Bishop. Luke Cage is here largely to protect against Yellow Jacket, but also because you have a lot of low power things, so like a Lizard can ruin your life here. Armor is just protection. You don't really want to get your stuff blown up. Doesn't have to be armor. I think it might be better off as Cosmo, might be better off as something like Medusa, might even work as a beast. Whatever, there's plenty of options. Could be Forge too. Forge is actually really good right now. We've got our Bishop as a lovely 3-1 here. We've got our Mysterio, which triggers both Hitmonkey and Bishop. We've got Bishop as a 3-1 who often becomes a 3-10 or more. We've got Thor, who becomes a 3-10. And we've got Hitmonkey, who becomes like a 312, 314 with this deck. The end of it, Hulkbuster is like the car. Hulkbuster and Armor are my swing spots. I like both, but I don't feel like I love or need both. I'm going to tell you straight up, this deck is probably better if it also just runs Loki. I hate to say that, but like, it's probably better if it just adds a Loki, right? Like, if you make Hulkbuster and Armor, Loki, and Collector, you don't really miss a lot, right? Like, your deck is still really good, except now you have a high roll for when you're not seeing your pieces. Whatever. Let's keep going. You need Kitty and Hitmonkey for this. Really sorry. There is no, I don't believe, Series 3 or cheaper version of this. You can try and replace Kitty with something like Nightcrawler or Jeff if you really want to, but I don't know. You're in trouble. You probably died a wave if your meta has a lot of wave. Please don't play this deck. Wave on 5 straight up punches this deck in the face, which means that this deck will 1,000,000,000% be running not Agent Michael M. Mobius. Mobius M. Mobius. Whatever. What a name. As soon as it comes out. You think of this deck similar to Bounce. It plays very similarly to a Bounce deck. If you were around for the Bounce meta, this is going to work similarly. So turn 1, you're probably dropping Kitty. Turn 2, you want Angela or Kitty again. You're going to have to decide. Usually I'm going to drop Angela here because I have a preponderance of 3s, and I want to get 2 3s up. So turn 3, I'm going to Bishop, and now I just have a 1-3 Kitty, and I'm fine. Kitty is not the priority here unless or until you get Hulkbuster on it. So turn 4, I'm deciding to either Thor or Hulkbuster and Kitty. Oh. Either way, I'm playing a 3 and Kitty if humanly possible. Hulkbuster and Kitty, if you got that Kitty out on 8, is now going to be a 1-9, which is obviously unbelievably good stats. And it's triggering your Bishop. You're not playing it on Angela that turn, but it can still trigger your turn 5. You have to play Jane if you have Hitmonkey. If you don't have Hitmonkey, you don't have to play Jane nearly as much, although drawing out some zeros from your deck will make you more likely to top deck Hitmonkey on the last turn. And your turn 6 is just sort of a go off. You've got Kitty. Let's say Kitty's a 1-4. Let's be Mysterio. Another 4 power. Now we're at 8. Wasp and Yellow Jacket. So now we're at 9, 10, 11. And Hitmonkey. And you've played 4, except you've played 6 cards. So your Hitmonkey is getting plus 12. So it's a 3-14. And that's if you don't have Mjolnir, which is also pumping your Thor to a 10. And if you don't have Hulkbuster on Kitty, which is obviously going to make it bigger. And if you're not pumping Angela, and if you're not pumping Bishop. So overall, this is an absolutely insane amount of power that fills the board. It's a very, very cool deck. We'll take one last look at it. Remember, your general goal is to... Oh, wow, I've got Hulk in this version. Oops. When I typed in Hulkbuster, I must have messed up and pressed Hulk once. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Copy and paste. It's a monster. All right. Pretend that Hulk is Hulkbuster. I promise it's supposed to be. This deck will basically spend its last turn going 0-0 Mysterio Hitmonkey as much as possible. And if it has Kitty, so much the better. It's going to be getting a 14 power Mysterio with like 11 power elsewhere. It's like a 25-30 power last turn. It can match the power of that last deck on the last turn of the game, except it's also putting out way more power throughout the game. So it should be able to beat most decks that aren't running Wave. However, Wave will destroy it, and you know what? Sometimes so will Loki. However, this deck is both very cool and very powerful, and I strongly urge you to check it out, give it a try, and let me know how it goes. All right, that's it for today's video. We'll be back very soon with many, many more decks, as we always are. Hopefully you found value in this. Hopefully you found this interesting. You hit like, you hit sub, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace.